For my ethnography project, I conducted research at the Crossfit Alluvium Gym in Loveland, Colorado. I was welcomed into this community by my good friend and CrossFit coach Ryan Page. He recommended that I observe the 5:30 a.m. Friday group. This particular group is an older demographic, so he jokingly calls them the Silver Sneakers group. There were 3 core elements that I focused on during my research: CrossFit methodology, community, and gender. Here are my 3 main guiding research questions. These are the 2 sources that I used for my data, but I also used my friend Ryan as a source. So what is CrossFit? CrossFit is a fitness program that emphasizes functional movements in order to prepare athletes for any physical contingency, unknown or known. So what are functional movements? Functional movements are basically movements that we use in our everyday life. These include squat, lunge, hinge, push, pull, rotate, and walk. CrossFit emphasizes and believes that randomized functional training is more effective than regular routine training. In order to understand this, let's compare bodybuilding to CrossFit. In a standard bodybuilding program, you might encounter the machine leg press. This is a lower body push movement, and it involves the quads and hamstrings primarily. Notice here with the way he's sitting that his legs are required to do most of the work. A lower body push in CrossFit might look like this, typically performed as a barbell back or front squat. This is more functional because it's actually making us work against gravity, engaging the quads, hamstrings, core, back, and the glutes. In our everyday lives, we find ourselves in this position way more often than this position. In bodybuilding, the bench press is a pretty standard upper body push movement, and this is primarily working the chest, triceps, and the grip muscles. A more functional version of this is the bodyweight push-up, which works the chest, triceps, core, and upper back. CrossFit has a bad reputation for being cult-like, and in any cult, there's a strong sense of community, so I decided that I wanted to explore this for myself. CrossFit gyms are otherwise known as boxes because they're typically set up in a warehouse setting with only the necessary equipment. This is a picture of my field site. Additionally, this is one of the walls inside of the facility that has a lot of goals people have written down for themselves. I thought that was really cool. My first day at my field site was Bring a Buddy Day, and this workout was apparently unusual because they were copying the CrossFit Open. During the CrossFit Open, all CrossFit gyms around the world compete the exact same workout for each given day of a competition. This is sort of like if we would copy Olympic athletes and do the same workout that they were doing. This is part of what makes CrossFit a global community. What I did for my research is I observed the 5:30 a.m. class and then I participated in the 6:30 a.m. class. This is me performing the scaled version of the overhead dumbbell lunge. Next, I had to do 50 of these heavy dumbbell step-ups, and by the end of it, my legs felt like jello. Next up was a strict handstand push-up, but I very obviously cannot do that, so I did a scaled version using an overhead dumbbell press. Lastly was a walking handstand, which none of us could do, so we did this high hips bear crawl instead to try and mimic that movement. Here are my observations from day 1. This class is made up of the same core group of students every week. They're very close, they have a lot of banter and teasing. The regular women held a silent focus during the workout, and one of the guests for Bring a Buddy Day kept body shaming herself and felt pretty embarrassed for the entire workout that she couldn't keep up with everyone. Coach Ryan and the other students picked up on these insecurities and went out of their way to cheer her on and empower her. Day 2's workout was short and high volume, and it focused more on muscular endurance than cardiorespiratory endurance like the previous workout. This one was timed, and the goal was to get as many of the prescribed reps in 10 minutes.
10 seconds is on the clock. Let's roll. Got this. Go. Good board. Good, Kendra. One rep at a time. Keep chipping away. Good. Yeah, Lauren. Good. Keep it up. Good. Not so low. Right there, and then back up. Yep. Keep that tension through right there and back up. Good. Very good.
Day 2, observations. Ryan's coaching was very personal and direct. He always spoke to us by our first name. Modifications were encouraged, which I think really helped with the inclusivity and the community feeling. I learned a lot about the community and the gender components of my research through the interviews. Here are some highlights.
We have the same suck together. Like, we're going through it all at once. So you cheer each other on, you know exactly what the person next to you is going through, and so you have that much more appreciation for what they're doing. So you really just push each other, you mess around, play games after, you talk, you learn about each other's lives, and so that's what makes it a true community. Women's, our mind, it tells us that we can't get it. And so it really teaches us to be big and go for things and not be afraid to fail, and it really just lifts that lack of self-confidence off of us, and it just empowers us to be like, hey, we can do that, hey, we can hang with the guys, and it's very just freeing and empowering.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, once I started doing this 5:30 class, it's the same core group of people, and it's super fun. Like, we know each other, we joke around. It's the reason I get out of bed sometimes. A lot of times is just to see the people. I think the way that my body feels, I feel a lot better, a lot more mobility. I'm getting stronger. I look better. And then the relationships. It's a big thing for me at my age, because I'm 42. So having people that are like-minded is great. Yeah. If I don't show up, somebody's going to call me and be like, hey, where have you been? What's going on or whatever. So it's that community and the relationships that keep me, consistent. I couldn't do so many different movements, but I find myself in like normal day-to-day life because I'm pretty active anyways with my business. It's a painting company, so sometimes I'm very active, but I can tell that there's things where I'm more flexible, and I can, at the end of the day, I'm not hurting and sore like I used to be, because I can just move better now.
My research revealed to me that there's a huge misconception about CrossFit. From an outsider's perspective, it can be seen as cult-like and elite, but in reality, with the right coach, it can be an empowering space to improve your health and fitness, surrounded with like-minded people. I learned a lot from this experience. It was exciting for me to perform the same workout as the guys in my class did. It meant that there doesn't need to be any gender divisions in fitness, and it's all about scaling the weight in a way that suits your body. In a similar sense, the sense of community at this gym was so strong because the students see each other every week. That means that they're getting to know one another on a deep level and seeing everyone's progress over time. If I had a core group of people I knew that would cheer me on and support me every time I worked out, I would go back every week too. In conclusion, I'm really happy that I got to research CrossFit Alluvium as my field site, and I would encourage everyone and anyone to try CrossFit.